Are you looking for comprehensive solutions for your performance and automotive needs? Straight Line Performance and Automotive is a full-service auto repair shop specializing in race car fabrication, electrical design, chassis setup, and alignment. Located in Hamden, Connecticut, they also specialize in aftermarket high performance and chassis upgrades. Be sure to look them up on Facebook at www.facebook.com/straightline, STR8LINE, Performance, &Automotive, or give them a call at 203-415-5316. Welcome, racers and fans, to the Racers News Network Live, presented by Straight Line Performance and Automotive and Scotty Wheels Racing. Your hosts, Chris and Pete, bring you the latest news and interviews in the world of sportsman drag racing, including bracket racing, association races, outlaw, and no-time events. We are live every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Take it away, boys.
Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Racers News Network Live. Pete is a little busy in his shop tonight. He's got a lot of work to do between running his garage and then being a teacher in his automotive program. So he's playing a little catch up tonight. He might be joining us in a little while. It all depends on if he gets everything done he needs to do. But joining me, as always, of course, is the other third of our wonderful show, Jerron Settles. How are you, Jerron?
Hey, Chris. How are you?
Good. So, we were supposed to have Les Williams joining us tonight, but unfortunately he got jammed up too. He also owns his own business, so obviously business takes a little bit of priority over this stuff, which is absolutely fine, not an issue. So hopefully we'll be rescheduling with Les really soon, but we have a lot to talk about. We have the double divisional out in Arizona at Wildhorse that Jerron was at. We also have the Mopar Express Lane national event that was held this past weekend at Maple Grove. A lot of great racing to talk about. My first question for you, though, Jerron, is how much weight did you sweat off with a track temp of about 165 degrees?
I had to lose at least 10 pounds. Probably put it back with ice cream, but it was brutal. We had to pretty much take a mandatory break during the middle of the day. We raced from 8 a.m. to about 12 to 12:30, and then had to take a break from there at 1 until 6 because it was just too hot. The heat index was off the charts and just wasn't safe to be out there. So they did the right call, and we pretty much ran the race in entirety at night. So it was kind of cool night racing.
Now, obviously, Arizona, the joke is always that it's hot, but it's a dry heat. Not the case this weekend, right?
Yeah, the humidity was up. Of course, the Floridians and the southeastern people are going to laugh at this humidity, but it was up around 30 to 40% at times. And, that doesn't sound like much, but when it's 110, 112 degrees, you sweat with 30% humidity. Normally it's, in the single digit humidities out there, but it was pretty bad. Like, obviously every time you get a chance to race, it's enjoyable. You like it, but boy, it was tough to love drag racing over the weekend. It was hot.
Now, making the transition from starting at 8 o'clock in the morning and run until, noonish, and then coming back and starting again at 6 o'clock when hopefully it was a little bit cooler. Does that really throw a curve into your plans for that particular race?
We definitely saw big swings. It, kind of reminded me of Indy, with that long of time in between, because, we would run our time runs in the morning. We'd run first round right at 11 o'clock or 11:30, 12 o'clock. And then second round wasn't until 7 or 8 o'clock. So it was considerably different. It wasn't a huge swing, but, you're talking 1,000 feet different altitude. Barometer was changing a few tenths, and temperature was down, 10 or so degrees. And then just the track temperature, one of the things that, I kind of struggled with just a little bit was, making the adjustment on the tree from going from first round in the daytime to second round at nighttime. Yeah, it's racing. I mean, everybody had the same conditions, so it was fair for everybody.
Now, like I said, the track temp was about 165 degrees, they said. The interesting thing that I don't think I've ever seen do is that they actually watered the track a few times. They put something like 5,000 gallons worth of water out to try and bring the track temp down for you guys.
Yeah, Mike Rice, the division director out there, they do it a lot at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, excuse me, because it kind of is the same way that the sun midday is just a scorcher. So they actually watered the track twice, pretty much each day, just to try and get it down to where it's manageable to actually even, prep it. 100, you're talking almost 170 degrees, surface temperature. It's rough. It's not going to hold rubber. It's just going to be greasy. So they did a good job cooling it off. It was amazing to see pretty much, they put, like you said, thousands and thousands of gallons of water in the track. In 30, 40 minutes, it was dry without any help. So that was just absolutely, crazy to see how hot it is out there. But Rice and the crew did a great job.
Do we have some results from Wildhorse?
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting race. There's a lot of little small stories. We'll start with Super Street. John Dexter ended up doing a parade lap on Saturday on September 11th with the American flag out the car was pretty cool. He ended up winning the first day over Ryan Humard. That's an interesting story. Ryan Humard was the previous winner of our divisional way back in March. Seems like it was a year ago when we had our last divisional. So John actually got the Brodex Bounty Award by beating Ryan in the final. So Ryan almost got his own bounty, because if he'd won the final, he would have got his own bounty. That John took it away from him. It was a very good final. Dexter was 19, Ryan was 25, and Dexter, having a little bit of an advantage on the tree, was able to push Humard out 1088 to 1091, and they both had to go through a good field of Super Street cars. John actually took out Ryan's dad in the semifinals, and then took out Melvin Forbes, good kid. Like he ran through a tough field of Super Street races. So and then ended up, I won't go too far, but you'll hear John Dexter's name one more time in the weekend, being double divisional. Our next category is stock eliminator. Was a very interesting final, as it was a heads up, and you don't see that a whole lot. That's always a cool final, but a stock automatic heads up final. Power Rizzoli took out Doug Lambeck. Battle of big block 69 Camaros. It just doesn't get any better than that if you're a stock eliminator fan. Right, Rizzoli got Doug Lambeck. I think they both kind of laid off the tree a little bit. They were 67 and 72, but Rizzoli was able to outrun them 1014, 129 to Lambeck's 1023, and at 128. I think I was watching the final. It looked like Kyle even lifted a little bit. I don't know if he had a little bit left in there, but they both turned them up for the final, and it was one. I wish I would have got video of it. It was pretty cool. It was a pretty short car count for the race, and just mainly because of the heat. You're not going to everybody that was there was wondering, why we all showed up. But it was just one of those situations where, we're out of race weekend. So, it was postponed from earlier this year, and it just had to get done, sometime, and there's no more. Sorry, someone tried to call me.
No problem.
In Superstock, Jimmy DeFrank, California car cover, Superstock C modified Cobalt. He took the victory over Tom Ferrugia. Ferrugia. Said that wrong the first time. That's a tongue twister there. Tom Ferrugia. Ferrugia went red, 35 red. I think he kind of might have double hit it in the final there. But Jimmy DeFrank's always been tough, and just for years been a killer out in Division 7 super stock and even in stock a little bit. And he took out Kyle Rizzoli in the semis, which is going to be another side story for the next race. And again, another short field, a little bit in super gas. These are normally classes, super gas, super comp, where you see hundreds of cars, but I didn't get a total car count as to what it was, but I know it was a little bit short. But Mike Wiblishauser was a Division 5 transplant to Division 7, took out Bernie Polvidor. This was a killer final. Wiblishauser was 15 dead 1 to Polvidor's 002, 1 over with a 5. So it was a pretty very, very good race, as most of the super gas races are. Ended up being a 5-round race, like I said, short field, but it was 100th finish line, about 3 inches stripe that Wiblishauser took on the stripe. And then my class, super comp, which I got my booty handed to me 3rd round. I was late, missed the tree, and Blake Johnson just did a good job driving the stripe and nailed me up. But Seth Palvador was on. He ended up winning, beating Val Torres, who is I'm pretty sure leading the points in Division 7. Has done some pretty good work in some of the other divisions he's run this year, just to try to get some points. Val is going to be a threat for the World Championship this year in Super Comp. But hats off to Seth. He was driving good. Val Torres went 1 red in the final, and then actually lifted and went 1090 with a 2. So about 2 seconds slower, but it's kind of cool to see him go dead 2, just in the wrong class. They both, again, took out some hitters. Garbizo, Trevor Harkema made the toe out, and Trevor's a really aggressive finish line driver. And Torres was able to go dead 9 on Harkema and kind of slam the door on him. But it's going to be an interesting fight, the rest of the year in Division 7, just because we've got 5 races left. A lot of the divisions are either down to 1, no more than 2, or some are even done, and we still have 5 races left. So, a lot of the other category or other division guys can't count anything right now, because somebody could get on a roll here in Division 7 and spoil somebody's party. One of the interesting stories is NHRA's own Bruno Masol, because he has to work a lot of the national events, doesn't get to race a whole lot. So, and the little bit of racing he's done, he's been able to do well. Well, he snuck out to Division 7, made the toe out to Phoenix, and made it pay off. He actually took out Doug Lambeck, who was in the stock final in comp. Bruno in his CC, I'm not going to say that name because I don't want to give you a headache, Chris. But
oh, stop that! Just do it. I'll hold it together. I will. I'll feel the power.
Bruno goes 55 under, 717, 186 to take out Lambeck's 44 under, 848. Lambeck was pretty good on the 337. Bruno laid off, knowing he had a little bit of horsepower, and was able to take the win. Bruno also took out Joe Mazeris, who's leading the points and is a contender for the championship nationally in comp. He's got a couple national wins this year, this year, and it's gonna go down. It's gonna be a tight race in comp. That's Bruno's 20th win in comp, and he's looking for his first win in pro stock. I think he's going to be in the pro stock car one more time this year, but we'll see him mostly behind the mic at the NHRA Comp National Event Series. Moving on to Top Sportsman. Once my slow moving.
Just slow internet connection.
My slow internet connection goes up. Now I just lost everything. It's coming back to me. Hang on. I'm sorry, everybody.
Worse things have happened.
Yeah, for
I've
sure.
done pretty much every one of them. If I haven't done all of them, I will do them eventually.
The crazy part is it was doing so well. I was kind of doubting it before we got started, and I was like, wow. But I should have known it was moving too smoothly to
Keep it up.
to keep it up to all the classes. But going back to basically those breaks while we wait, that was kind of cool because you could actually go take a nap. It was kind of good one way and bad the other, because if you took too long of a nap, then you kind of felt like crap, once you woke up. But if you could get out of the heat and get refreshed. I know a lot of people went into town, went to the mall. We actually went out and went to Buffalo Wild Wings and got pizza and wings a few days. So it was kind of cool to do that. But would have rather raced the whole day. So we're gonna move on to Top Dragster. Top Sportsman is giving me a fit here, but Rick Milanazzo, check out Jeff Conley. Another side story for the second race. It seems like, when there's a double, you got a lot of racers that'll get on a roll in the first race, and you'll hear their name in the second race a lot. But Milazano dialed 705, went 703, double breakout. As Conley dialed 632 and went 628.5 at 211. Milanazzo was 22 in the tree. Conley was 24. So very good, very close. And double breakout. This was Rick's third win. His first in Top Dragster. He has 2 in Super Street, and he's got 3 prior runner-ups in Super Street. It was a short field. I think there was only 18 cars in Top Dragster. So that's, I'm pretty sure, the next race is Tucson. Pretty sure a lot of people will be back. I know it's still going to be a little hotter, but it's going to be middle October, so it should be a lot cooler. And I know a lot of people are going to be wanting to get points, so they're gonna make the trek out to Tucson. I know I am. I need the points bad. So again, just waiting on this deal.
Are you looking for the second race or the third race on that one?
We got one final to go, and that's Top Sportsman. And I hear they just came up. Mike Ferderer. So that's a name that if you're an NHRA Sportsman fan, that's a name Ferdy. Mike Ferderer has been around for a long time, multiple world champion in Super Comp, Super Gas, Top Sportsman. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this may be Mike's last year racing. I think he's been shooting around the idea of retiring. And if so, what a way to go out, winning the race over Sylvia, sorry. I had lunch with Mira or dinner with Mira and pronounced her name wrong. But 714. Mira was 12. Let's go 714 on 709. Dow 30 006. And Dow's 19 goes 723 to take the win, about 100th finish line. What can you say about Ferdy? I mean, that's just somebody that's always been there, and it's gonna be sad to see him go if he's retiring. May not be okay, and then Grand Am may be back next year. You never can tell. So, like I was saying, the second race, there's a lot of names you're gonna hear again, and one of those is in Super Street. John Dexter went to the final both races. Almost got it done the second race. Melvin LaFour was 005. He goes 89.4, pushing out John Dexter's 18 light, going 10.88.7. Ryan Humard also was back in the semis and lost to John Dexter again. Almost picked up the bounty on Dexter from winning the previous race. But that bounty went to Melvin LaFour this time. And what Mike Rice decided to do was actually run the entire race on Saturday night. So we stock and Super Comp both ran first round before the break on Saturday. And then we came back at 6:30 with Top Dragster being the first class out for first round and ran the entire race in entirety. And we were done at about 11:45. So it wasn't as bad as a lot of people thought it was going to be. We'll go back to stock Eliminator, which I should have been doing this a little sooner. Chris Ashley took out Earl Farmer. Ashley in this H-stock automatic. Dow 1157 and took out Earl Farmer's D-stock automatic. Dow 1097. Farmer was 33. Ashley's 29. Again, right there on the tree. But Ashley was able to get a little bit closer to Dow and take the win. And that is his first Lucas Oil stock eliminator win. And he had to take out a lot of hitters. Kyle Rizzoli, Doug Lambeck, Leo Glassbrenner, last year's winner, Gary Hampton, and the front drive Cavalier. So Chris Ashley earned that win hugely. Move on to Superstock. And Kevin Carter, sorry, that's comp eliminator. Again, my computer doesn't like me today, so we're going to talk about comp. Kevin Carter in the A Nostalgia Dragster, which is always a cool class. You got front motor, dragsters from the 60s going fast. He was able to take out Phil Kakuza. Kakuza went red, couldn't sit there, and they both lifted at half track, so not a lot to talk about ET-wise, but Bruno lost in the semis and Joe Mazaris lost in the semis. So both of those guys gained some points towards a really popular comp eliminator world championship title fight. So we're gonna try Superstock again. I think Pete not being here, I think he's making my computer worse because it's never this bad when he's here. So
he's doing like a hoodoo voodoo thing on you.
Yeah, I think we're gonna blame Pete. We're gonna blame Pete for this. So just like,
all right, Pete, if you're listening, chime in on that then.
So we're gonna move to Super Comp because Superstock is like the previous Top Sportsman, doesn't want to cooperate. So Trey Vetter, who's driving a car that I painted, took out another customer of mine, Cody Weber, in the Super Comp final. Cody missed the tree a little bit, was 47. Trey was 27. And they both went down holding a few numbers, and pretty much it was who was going to stop faster. Trey stopped, went 91 with a 2 at 175 to Cody's 889, 4 179. Cody was closer, only 6 die away from dead on, but Trey just didn't give enough room to be able to kill enough, having them 200s on the tree. And I myself went 3 thou red second round. So again, I was not in contention. But one of these days.
It's a good thing Pete's not here then. He bust on you about it. He probably did it already anyways, but
yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. So we'll move to Superstock. Kyle Rizzoli, runner-up in the first race, I believe. I think it was. I'm sorry, my computer's got me so screwed up. But Kyle Rizzoli took out Jimmy DeFrank, who won the first race. DeFrank was 21, Dow 904, just 3 over. To the wood, it looked like to me, and Rizzoli was 32, going to 951.7 on the 950. Just went down there and tapped the brakes a little bit and took 6,000th finish line. And that's his 6th Superstock win. He's got 5 in stock and 3 in Super Comp. Again, they both took out some heavy hitters in there. We'll go try Top Sportsman this time. We'll see what happens. Top Sportsman came up. And everyone's crowd favorite, Paulie Mitso, the Mountain View Tire Top Sportsman car, got a win over Jeff Conley in his Pro Charger S10 pickup truck, which is a really cool setup. At the hit, Jeff Conley's car or the truck just made a hard move, and he had to lift. Paulie was 17, goes 683, lifting on a 674, and Jeff goes to 757. But Mira Sylvia back in the semis, and Mike Furter was taken out by Jeff Conley in the first round. So Conley got the bounty money for top sportsman. We'll move to top dragster, which I believe only 15 drivers took first round. A couple guys that hurt some parts were unable to race the second race. So it was really short field in top dragster. And that was Jeff Conley. Conley was trying to double, was in the top sportsman final, got loose, came back against Phil Dion. And this was a 6:19 to 6:18 dial-in race. So almost heads up final in top dragster. And Conley's 39, Phil Dion is 002 red. And coast through, but Conley legged it, goes dead on 5, 218 miles an hour. That's just one of the cool things about top dragster. Wanna going 218, going dead on 5, like it's just crazy. I'm not sure why everyone tries to call me while we're on. Like my phone won't ring all day long.
No, same thing with me. Nobody will bother me until I'm trying to do something.
Yeah. Sportsman motorcycle, Tom Medlin, who is a well-known racer in Division 7, took out Kahia Woods. Woods was 30 on the tree, dialed 877, went 875, and it was a double breakout going to Tom Medlin, who was 66 on the tree. Woods took a little too much stripe. He didn't chicken wing him enough on the top end, and Medlin takes the win at 824, 161. Now, one of the things we had in the second race that wasn't in the first race was 2 short alcohol fields. Alcohol funny car saw Terry Ruckman and the Ruckman brothers alcohol funny car take out Mike Deshuki. Never mind. He took out Mike. Ruckman goes 565, 261, and only had 1 thou on the start line. They were 69 and 70, and Dejugian goes 569. I know I'm tearing that name up, but I normally am good with names. Like I pride myself on knowing people's names. But Mike, you got me on this one, buddy. So there was 4 alcohol funny cars, Hunter Jones and Ray Martin. Mike took out Ray Martin. Terry Ruckman took out Hunter Jones. And congrats to the Ruckman brothers, who I believe have kind of set out a lot this year. Top alcohol dragster saw 4 cars, I believe, or maybe 3. I'm not sure. My computer again is. I apologize for this too. My computer's just not happy with me.
That's all right. No worries. Like I said, I had the same problem a couple weeks ago when I was at the hotel. Wonky service.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All part of the fun.
Casey Grizzle, who is driving the Jerry Darian car, and Jerry Darian, if anyone follows the alcohol ranks, knows that Jerry Darian has given a lot of the nitro drivers their starts. The Force Girls, the Pedregons. A lot of those guys have driven for Casey Grizzle. Casey takes out Chris Demke. Demke goes 536, 270 to Casey's 533, 267. And the other 2 were Mike Burns and Mike Austin. And Demke was 4th thou, better at the green. And but Grizzle drove around him on the top end. He win one for the injected nitro cars, and Demke is one of the blown alcohol guys that really is holding up the fort with him and geez, this is terrible. I'm so sorry. I'm drawing a blank. There's a bunch of stuff going on there. I think there was just some car accident or something outside. But Demke's holding down for the blown alcohol guys, and but Casey gives a 1-1 for the nitro guys, and that is a wrap on the double divisional in Phoenix, Arizona for Division 7. We'll see everybody else.
What do you think the future of the blown alcohol car is in top alcohol dragster?
That's a very interesting question. You know, obviously there are some good running cars out there, but we kind of talked about it, last week about, what's one of the reasons why you don't see the alcohol funny cars? Is it cost? Uh, is it easier to get into an injected car than an alcohol car? You know, I, I don't know what NHRA can do. Obviously they can't keep changing the rules because every time you change the rules for this side, then the other side gets mad, and vice versa, and it's just a kind of a no-win street. But I don't know. I don't see them. Demke and there's 3 or 4 really really good blown cars out there, and they're holding it down. I think if they can get a little bit of rules help over the winter, then maybe we'll see a few more pop up. I know there's Nick Janik is building an alcohol dragster, a blown alcohol car for next year. So that there's some being built. There's a lot out there. It's just they need a little bit of help from NHRA.
All right, so out here on the East Coast, we had the Mopar Express Lane Nationals at Maple Grove. They actually had beautiful weather, sunny, cool, comfortable, not ridiculously hot, and they actually got the whole race in 3 days. So,
Excuse me one second.
Yeah, go right ahead, Duran. Which obviously was a little bit of a toughie. The past couple of times they've tried to get events done at Maple Grove. So we're going to start it out with Pro Stock Motorcycle. Our buddy Steve Johnson, funny guy. If you have a chance, I suggest you go onto our YouTube page and check out the interview with him. The guy is an absolute riot. Driving his Suzuki, ran 677 with a 5 at 196 to beat Eddie Krawick on the Buell, who ran a 687 at 197. Johnson got his second Wally this season, career best 8th for him. Takes over the points lead, and this is his first time since Gainesville of 2014 that he's had the points lead.
Yeah, that's really cool to see Steve, take the points lead. We all know how hard he works being a part-time racer. But no, it's just kind of cool to see someone other than, the usual bunch win, and lead the points, have a shot for the championship. I mean, the last few years, it's been the Harleys. The Harleys aren't racing this year, but it's still, been Angel Sampe and Eddie Krawick, kind of running away with it a little bit, or Matt Smith running away with it in past years. So it's good to see Steve Johnson out in front. We'll see if he can hold off the Smiths or the Krawicks.
Right. Let's see. Pro Stock. Greg and Pro Stock car. Let me make that clear. Greg Anderson in the Chevy Camaro, 657 with an 8 at 208 to defeat Erica Enders in her Camaro, who ran a 660 with a 4 at 206. Anderson got his third Wally this season, and he officially ties Warren Johnson with 97 career wins for the most in Pro Stock history.
Yeah, that's just awesome. I mean, he's been trying for the past 7 or 8 races, and like you said, he dropped the ball a lot. Made some mistakes as a driver, made some mistakes as a tuner, but they got it to 97 wins. Is just and when you compare his career to Warren Johnson's, he obviously started a lot later. I think there's more races on the tour than when Warren started, so that has kind of evens it up. But either way, to win 97 national wins in Pro Stock is just historic. I mean, that's just will anyone else tie that record? Who knows? But that's something that Greg and the entire team should be proud of. They worked hard for it, and it was a good final, and they ran good. Erica, he had a little bit of performance advantage over Erica, and he kind of caught her sleeping at the line. Erica was uncharacteristically late at 49, but I think either way, she probably couldn't stay out in front of him being 21 and going 57-8.
Yeah, I'll be really curious to see if if he does, and how long it takes him to break 100.
Yeah, that's definitely interesting too, because you don't see the domination like you saw back in the Warren Johnson days, back in the Bob Whitten days, where they would win 5-7 races a year. Those days are gone. It's a tough field, and you've got the there's so many teams. The elite team, the Frank Iconio and Kenny Doko team that can step up and bite you, and can go to the finals. That it may be next year before he gets 100. And undoubtedly he'll get it, but it's not as easy as it was anymore.
All right, field funny car, Tommy Johnson Jr. in Dodge Charger 392 with a 26 reaction time, 330 miles an hour, defeated John Force with the Chevy Camaro, ran a 394 with a 43 on the tree at 328. Johnson was substituting for Matt Hagan and wins the Wally, and it's his 23rd win.
Yeah, how about that? Tommy Johnson was sitting on the couch, had lost the ride after last season, hadn't drove since the Vegas finals in 2020, and gets a call right before Indy, days before Indy, to sub and come back and does well at Indy, and then second race out wins. So, hats off to Tommy Johnson Jr. It's another racer that's been around for a long time and knows how to drive a race car, knows how to get it done. And, I think the car kind of bailed him out there. It was a little late against Force. Force being 26, though, makes me think he may have guessed with it a little bit, because Johnson actually wasn't late at 43. But to go 392 outrun Force, that's saying something right there for the DSR team.
Top fuel dragster, Billy Torrance, 372 flat with a 75 reaction time, 326 miles an hour, defeated Justin Ashley, who was 33 on the tree, 378 at 313 miles an hour.
Yeah, you got to feel for Justin Ashley, going to a final at Pomona, having some health issues, and then struggling a little bit in Indy, and then coming here and having such a good car. Went through Steve Torrance in the semis, and it's like most of the time, if you go through Steve early, you're probably going to win the race. But lo and behold, there's another Torrance waiting for him in the final. So, but they ran good. 378, 313 is nothing to hang their heads about. But the Torrance through 72 over 326. It's thundering. And they're a force to be reckoned with wherever they go, whatever race it is. And but hats off to the entire Torrance team and Justin Ashley for going to the finals.
All right, moving on to top alcohol dragster, Matthew Cummings, 521 at 276 to defeat Robin Samso, who ran 526 at 268. Cummings gets his second career national event Wally.
Yeah, that's his second, and I believe the 12th final round for that car. That's one of the cars that Alan Reinhart calls the rental car. Whether it's Rich Jr. or Matt Cummings or whoever wants to drive this week. It's like, hey, who in the stands hasn't won this week yet? Jump in the car. It's a good car. Richmond Phillips, even back when TJ was driving it a few years back, TJ Coughlin, the car was a championship contender, and they have definitely found the performance edge, and to be running right up there with the Myers and even faster than the Randy Meyer team is saying something for them. So Rich, kind of hometown race for Rich, Maple Grove. Rich, that whole crew being from the Pennsylvania area, so it's cool to see them win one in front of the home team crowd.
Right. Top alcohol funny car, Doug Gordon, 544 at 269 to defeat Sean Bellemure, 548 at 266. Gordon wins his 15th national event Wally and number 4 on the 2021 season.
Yeah, it's pretty short field of funny cars, alcohol funny cars in Maple Grove, which is kind of odd, but
Sean Bellemere being in the car owned by Tony Bartone, that's kind of Bartone's home track. So I know they were pulling out all the stops trying to beat Doug Gordon. But Gordon has just been on a tear again since, switching over to the Johnny Lindbergh chassis 2 years ago. Has just been unstoppable. Won the world championship last year. Is in contention and in a good position to win the world championship again this year. The car's just been flawless. I mean, in eliminations, it went 544, 544, 547, and 544. I mean, that's consistency is what wins races, and they're showing that they have it down. And again, not taking anything from Sean Bellemere, and that's a world championship team. Doug Gordon took the championship from Bellemere 2 years ago. So Bellemere was ready. They went 40s, mid 40s every lap down the track too. Just come up a little bit short. Bellemere did his job, was 21. But, Gordon was 31 and outran him by 400.
All right, comp eliminator, Frank Aragona. Not a surprise that we're talking about Frank. In his Roadster, defeated Chip Ippolito in his Chevy S10 former Pro Stock truck. If I remember right, I think Chip has owned that since it was built. He ran Pro Stock truck with it I don't know if he ran the full schedule or if he just ran essentially East Coast races. But
yeah,
no, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I don't remember Chip ever running the entire tour in Pro Stock truck, but that is a one owner truck that Chip built. And his, he moved into with it, right after Pro Stock truck and has had a lot of success in it with it there. Was just a little bit outclassed here with Frankie in the final. I mean, Frankie's got a fast car. A lot of people were saying, oh man, he got outrun bad in Indy. But, I think, as I said on another podcast, I think he was kind of playing possum there in Indy, just not wanting to hurt the index. As it showed here is, I mean, pretty much able to go whatever he wanted, 59 under one pass, 43 under, 52 under, qualified number one at 68 under, so that's not a car that's going to get outrun by very few people. I think, like I said, he was just kind of playing the field, David Rampy was a guy that, excuse me, would have the faster car, but choose to lose sometimes just to not hurt the index and, kind of win where he needed to win and not use up index when he didn't need to. So Frank and that whole crew is just, I mean, they've been the top of comp eliminator for a long time, even back when Frank Sr. drove the light and lively cars and the Berettas and things like that. So, they've just been a mainstay in comp eliminator for a long time and probably a long time to come too.
Yeah, because Chip ended up going red, but he had 43 red. So, handed it to Frank basically right at the beginning. But Frank was on his game all weekend like he always is. And he even said last week he just kind of went a little duh on the tree and went red in the final.
And that was Aragona's 15th national event. Wow.
Yep. And try that again. Number 4 for this season.
Yeah.
Or no, excuse me. I apologize for it wasn't the 4th. I was looking at a different one. My bad. But it is his 15th national event. Wally. Super stock. The high winding, I believe it's a 289 Mustang of Bobby Fazio, defeated Jonathan Allegrucci in the Dodge Challenger drag pack. Allegrucci went red on the tree, with 003 red to give Bobby his first national event wallet.
I love it because it's a clutch car. Bobby had to work for that win. Had to roll through the gears, and he went through a good amount of heavy hitters there. Don Thomas, former world champion Brian Warner, Jeff Longany, Gregory Gay, with a stick car, and was pretty decent on the tree, 28, 40, 47, 13, 28, and then 38 in the final. To have to drop a clutch and roll through the gears, I'm sure they, may have had to make a few clutch gap adjustments, if they had any back-to-back rounds, but hats off to Fazio. That's really cool to see a Superstock L old school Mustang win in 2021.
Yep. up against, one of the factory hot rods too.
Yep, one of the factory stock new computer cars.
Yep. All right, moving on to Stock Eliminator, a name that we have said numerous times already this year. Joe Santangelo defeated Allison Dahl. Santangelo ran a 45 with a 6 at 117 to outduel Allison. Allie had a great light. She took too much at the top end, ran a 58 on a 60 dial to give Joe the win. Joe gets his 19th national event Wally. Interesting note about Joe is that he is on top nationally and divisionally in points. We're going to see how this whole thing plays out.
Yeah, Joe's definitely going to be around, until the end. It's not locked up yet, but he's definitely got a great shot to lock up both championships. And I'm sure probably be in running for the Jags All-Stars next year too, if he can, continue this late season charge or all season charge pretty much. But it looks like he was pretty aggressive on the brakes, going dead six at only 117 mile an hour. He didn't leave Allison, any room to kill. Allison, again, made a good run. Only missed it by a couple behind, but when Santangelo is a pretty aggressive finish line driver, and that's something that's hard to judge. So Allison did a good job, but Santangelo did a little bit better with the brake pedal.
All right, now the race that I've been waiting to talk about. Super Comp, Taylor Iacono ran 891 with a 9, 29 on the tree at 175 miles an hour to defeat Lee Ream in his dragster, who ran 893 flat, 25 on the tree, 174 miles an hour. Taylor gets her first national event Wally in her second final round. One of the nicest people you will ever have the chance to meet. And Geron, as usual, has a connection to her car.
Yeah, that's a car I painted a few years back. Actually, I painted a car for Lee Ream years back also. He's a former customer. But also Lee Ream is Taylor's uncle. So that was an all-family final for the Iconos, which is, how often does that happen? Especially at their home track. Lee Ream lives about 5 minutes from Maple Grove to probably drive the car there from his house. So that's pretty cool for him to be in the final with his niece Taylor. And Taylor just got engaged this week to Vincent Noville. So it's been a crazy week for her, and top it off with a national meet win, her first national meet win. And again, to take out the list that she took out: Michael Honders, Chris Capella, Tom Stalba. Stalba's been a guy that's been tearing the Super Comp ranks up for 20 years, and she goes 19 dead 4 and dispatches of Stalba. So congratulations to the entire Icona Ream family.
Yeah, and her aunt won the U.S. Nationals in top alcohol dragster last week. So
yeah, Jackie Frick. Yep.
Celebrations all around. All right, Super Gas, another name that we've said a lot. Jason Kenny and his Chevy Corvette, 989 with a 9, 36 on the tree, 166 miles an hour to defeat Bill Nuzzo in his Ford Mustang, who was 988 with a 2, 12 on the tree, 120 miles an hour. Nuzzo with the slight starting line advantage, but took too much strike to give Jason the win. And Kenny gets his 5th national event Wally.
Kenny's a guy who I didn't know only had 5 national event wins. If you would have bet me, I would have told you he probably had 20. Jason is just an excellent driver, and the entire Kenny family, from sister Samantha to his dad Al. Al's a former top dragster world champion, and Jason, I'm pretty sure, is a former Super Gas world champion or even Super Comp world champion. But he got it done here in Super Gas, and Bill Nuzzo is one of the guys that's kind of an older Mustang too. That's not one of the super high tech roadsters or top sportsman style cars that you see in Super Gas nowadays. So pretty cool for him to go to the finals at Maple Grove.
All right, last but not least, Top Dragster presented by Vortex Superchargers. Tom Martino, 662 flat at 195 miles an hour to defeat Al Kenny in his Dragster at 623 at 219. Wow. 24 mile an hour difference. Holy hell. Martino with the starting line advantage in the win. Martino wins his first national event Wally in his first final round.
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised to see Tom there. I know he's a PDRA top dragster standout. So he's no stranger to the winner's circle, excuse me. And checking out Alan Kinney, just talked about Alan and Jason. Al finished number 7 in the world last year, and but Tom did his job, was good on the tree, and the car was there when he needed it. And he took out Peter Biondo, Molicelli and Kim Moses. I mean, this again at these races, it's just the who's who. That's why it's so hard and so important for everybody to win a national event, because you earn one. There's no easy road to the finals at a national event. Alan Kinney had to take out Anthony Bertazzi and Steve Everett. Taylor Vetter, who came all the way from Division 7 to run top dragster at Maple Grove. It's just a tough class, and every class is tough nowadays. So to win one or even go to the finals, it's a major accomplishment.
All right, so that's all the results from the Mopar Express Lane NHRA Nationals at Maple Grove. Coming up this weekend, this is kind of a scheduling thing that I don't understand, but it's not my decision to make. But you have the Dutch next weekend at Maple Grove, and then you also have the national event at Charlotte. Kind of stacking them up there a little bit.
Yeah, it's really everybody wants to kind of not really bash, but get on NHRA about their scheduling. Even like I said, we've had some struggles. We've only got three divisionals in, but it's just that horrible word COVID. There's just only so many weekends that to make up races that were originally scheduled, and things like that. So it definitely gives the Division I racers they've got to make a choice. Do we go to Charlotte? Do we go to Dutch? The Dutch not being a points earning race, just a grade point race. A lot of them may choose to go to Charlotte, especially if they're in the running, still have some races to make up. That's kind of a no-brainer there. But the Dutch is very important, as a lot of people know this year, and you've needed 8 grade points to get in almost anywhere. So you got to hit all the races you can, and try to get some grade points so that you will be able to race national events next year and have an opportunity to win.
So out on the West Coast, how are things looking COVID/schedule wise? Are you guys still being affected out there, or is it pretty much kind of mellowed out a little bit?
Well, we're a little bit concerned about Vegas. I believe this Friday they're going back to 100% mask mandate, indoors or outdoors. I know that race just barely got off last year, with them having imposed on them that it can only have 5,000 spectators. We're going to hope that some things change before then, because that's not good for NHRA. It's not good for the track. It's not good for any of us to have, these situations where you can only have so many spectators. I think, the mask mandate at the racetrack may hurt attendance. We'll see. We're still a couple months or a month and a half away. Maybe things will change, lighten up or whatever. But other than that, we're still on schedule. There's basically 5 division races left and 2 national events for us. And so we'll see what happens. We have a double in Vegas in the first week of October, a single and a open at Tucson, and then another Vegas divisional. It's actually 4 divisional. I'm sorry, I said 5. But 2 national events, Vegas National and then Pomona, the 1st of November.
So I know we had talked about your schedule already last week or week before, but are you still out on the West Coast, and are you hanging out there for a week, couple weeks?
No, I actually caught a red eye back this morning to Florida, so I'm back in Florida. Gonna finish up. I've got a good amount of helmets to finish up and one car, and then I'm gonna go home for a little bit, and then I'm gonna go back out and pretty much middle of October, being on the West Coast for pretty much until Thanksgiving. So we're gonna finish out the season out there with Tucson, Vegas, Pomona.
Racking up those air miles.
Yeah. Yeah. The cool thing about that is I do have to go home for a few days. My son's birthday is it's like the day before the Vegas Nationals. That's going to be interesting when we go home for his birthday, and probably catch a red eye right back to the track the next morning. So that's going to be interesting and fun. But pretty much be able to stay out there for those races. Won't have to fly back and forth too much.
That's cool. All right. Well, we got everything in. Like I said, unfortunately, for anybody that tuned in, wanted to hear what Les had to talk about for New Oxford Dragway. He had a couple of things come up, wasn't able to make it, but we're going to reschedule it. Next week, we will be back Monday night at 7 o'clock, working on a couple of things. Let me know about that other thing if and when, and I'll send you some dates.
Sure.
See what works.
Looking forward to it. We're gonna send some demerits Pete's way. I would say we could short him a little bit, but he's already been shorted enough. So he's not here to defend himself. So
damage has already been done.
But no, I apologize to everybody out there for all the computer issues and forgetting racers' names and stuff like that. That's I'm normally better than that. So don't
all part of the fun.
Don't send me any death threats. We'll try to get better.
All right, Jerron, I'll let you get out of here and get back to work. And I shall wrap it up for tonight. Like I said, we will be back next Monday night at 7 o'clock Eastern, live on Zoom, streaming on our Facebook page. Be sure to check out our YouTube page. All you got to do is search for Racers News Network. And all of our shows are going to be on there, including this little gem from tonight. And it was just a short bit of time.
Thanks for having me, Chris. We'll see you next week.
Got it, buddy. Have a good night.
You too.
All right, everybody. See you later. We are out of here. If you're racing in Charlotte, good luck. If you're racing at the Dutch, good luck. If you're racing anywhere else in the universe, best of luck. Stay safe. Talk to you next week.